I get high when I'm feeling low. Hi guys. So, if you didn't watch my last video, I'm basically sitting in my room on the 12th of July filming a video about everything that happened in the last 6 months because I didn't post anything on YouTube, so I'm just catching you to speed. Is that what they say? Well, anyway, I'm telling you my story. So, in the last video I told you about how I went to Edinburgh in January to visit my friends before classes started again. And in this video I'm going to tell you everything that happened in the next 3 months after that, basically. So until the month of like April, May, roughly. It was pretty rough. I really struggled a lot. I don't have much footage at all, but there's a reason for it. So yeah, so basically what happened is that when I went back, I think it was like the day after I went back, I started feeling sick, which at first was fine because, you know, I get sick sometimes, everyone does, you just catch a cold, but then it didn't go away, and I was really sick, like, you know, I was coughing and stuff for about 3 weeks. So then eventually I went to the GP to like see what was wrong, and she couldn't really figure out what it was. So then I got an x-ray, but then they said that, you know, the x-ray was fine. So then I just waited and I waited, but it just didn't get better. Like, I kept coughing and I coughed so much that I couldn't really sleep anymore, and like during the day all I would do was just cough and cough and cough, and it was really bad. Like it sounded like I was dying. You know, it wasn't just like your normal I'm slightly sick kind of cough. So I had to like sleep upright because every time I was lying down I would just cough so much that I couldn't fall asleep. So I was really struggling with that. And then like when I started to feel sick at the very beginning, when I thought it was just a cold, I was applying for jobs and I got something. I was a receptionist in a hotel in Dublin for a while, but then when I actually started working, that's when I started to feel very, very sick. Sick enough that like going to work was, it's just not what I wanted to do, you know. I just wanted to lie in bed and die, you know. So it was tough, but I did it, and I just didn't feel better after a few weeks. It just kept getting worse, and I coughed so much that one of my ribs just started to hurt a lot. Like, I thought it was broken. It was probably not broken, but it was like bruised, and it became swollen, and then there was like a bruise also at some point. So I was struggling because it just, my rib hurt basically all the time. Like lying down, walking, everything hurt. Especially when I was coughing, like coughing with my rib hurting was just the most painful thing in the world, and I became so scared of coughing, but I would cough all the time anyway. So like, and like coughing obviously didn't help heal my rib, because my rib hurt because I was coughing. So it just was a vicious cycle, and I was really struggling. But eventually my rib stopped hurting so much, and one day I went to work and I thought, you know, things were getting better. I was still coughing, but my rib was fine-ish after a few weeks. But then, I don't know, I did something, and then my other rib, the same one but on the other side, started to hurt a lot. Like it was like stuck. It felt stuck. I couldn't do like this. Just turning my shoulders was absolutely impossible. I just couldn't. I couldn't move. And I was still coughing, And because I was working as a receptionist, you know, you can't really cough in people's faces, and I was like trying my best to not cough in front of people, but sometimes I really had to. Then, like, when you try not to cough, sometimes like your voice just disappears, and then I couldn't really talk to people because I didn't have a voice anymore. I was like, I was really struggling. So that was tough. It was really, really tough. Like, just going to uni and then having the job and then coughing so much and just feeling sick in general. It was a really hard thing to do. So, and I was working like way more than what I wanted to do, which was part-time, and it was hard to manage, like impossible even, because I was working really far away from where I live. So I struggled to go to work and then come back, and the hours were like, you know, the early shift I had to wake up at 4 a.m. to go, and then the late shift I would be back at midnight. So it was tough, but I did it. I went to the hospital a couple of times. The first time I just needed antibiotics, but the people at the pharmacy just wouldn't give me the medication, which is understandable. You need a prescription, but I didn't have a prescription. But yeah, I didn't get anything at the hospital because it would just take like 10 hours. And then I went back to the hospital sometime later, like maybe like a month or two after that, because one day in the middle of the night I just woke up and I couldn't breathe for like maybe a minute. I don't know exactly, I didn't time it, but I just couldn't breathe at all. I was in the hallway. I don't know why I did that. Like, just I got out of bed, went into the hallway, and then just fell on the floor, and I was like, I thought I was gonna die. Like, seriously, I thought I was gonna die. And just realizing that I couldn't do anything about it because I couldn't breathe, so I couldn't tell anyone, and just, yeah, very scary. And like, it happening in the middle of the night, you know, like, it makes you feel really alone, I guess. So I went to the hospital after that because I didn't understand why suddenly in the middle of the night I just couldn't breathe anymore. But people were not very nice. They didn't believe me. They said everything was fine with my breathing and that I probably just had a panic attack. And I kept telling them that I didn't, because you don't just wake up in the middle of the night when you're not stressed and then have a sudden panic attack. Because it's not just that I felt like I couldn't breathe, because that's what a panic attack is like. You know, you just feel like you can't breathe, but you can breathe. I couldn't breathe. Like, air just, it felt like my throat was completely stuck. And like, just, there was nothing that could, you know, it was stuck. I couldn't breathe. So that was scary. And just not getting any kind of support from the people in the hospital. Like, I waited for so many hours, but when I saw a nurse, she said that I wasn't a priority and I would probably wait for like the next 10 hours or something. So I was just like, I'm not doing that. So I went home and I felt really sad because I had already been sick for such a long time, and I knew that I was probably gonna stay sick for, no, I didn't know how long. That's the thing. I didn't know when I was gonna actually start to get better, and no one could tell me what was wrong. I just didn't know what was going on, but I felt horrible, and I just couldn't do university and work and being sick, just everything all at once. So eventually I went back to the GP, and she prescribed like a huge amount of medication. She was really helpful. Like, I saw her twice, and she was just from the very beginning a very helpful doctor. So I got lots of medication, and my dad is a doctor as well, so he sent me medication from France, which unfortunately got stuck here in Dublin, so I ended up getting the medication when I felt better, which is a shame, but yeah, so I got lots of medication from my doctor and I took it, and I didn't feel better at the beginning, but then eventually I caught some kind of cold, I think on top of like the thing I already had, and it stayed for like about a week, but then it went away, and at the same time the other illness just went away, and then I felt great again. I was healthy, and I've been healthy ever since. So that was a really tough time for me because I couldn't really, make friends or like do things during that time. I was just sick and working and struggling. So a few things did happen during that time, not much. I can only think about 2, but I'm gonna talk about them in another video because I actually have footage of it. So yeah, so that was the mysterious illness and my darkest period in Dublin. I'm glad it's over now. I'm really, really happy because that was tough. I'm glad this video is done now because I don't want to think about it anymore, but now I said it so I can just post it and be done with it. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, hopefully very soon. Bye!